All right, it is the college countdown. I am Josh Neighbors. He is Jack Allen. And today we get to do an Arkansas episode because yesterday we discussed Eric Morris, domino number one falling in the kind of more recent coaches who are working land. James Franklin, obviously, to Virginia Tech. But now we've got what sounds like Alex Golesh of South Florida on his way to Arkansas. So we're getting to that today. He is Jack Allen at Jack Allen TV. I am Josh Neighbors at Josh Neighbors _ also at CC Podcast JN. Like the video, subscribe wherever y'all get your podcast, and on YouTube as well. So Jack, you and I have the opportunity to do like a full Arkansas episode today, and you and I are not from here, but this is where we work. The news came from one Trey Schapp, who is in the building. His full-time job is he works in sales for us, but also used to host a radio show here. He hosts the pregame show with David Basil for Arkansas football here on 103.7 The Buzz. And also he hosts a really good golf podcast called From the Shortgrass. And then he covers a lot of events for us, whether it be SEC Media Days for football, for basketball, does great content for us. And he's doing some reporting here. So his report is that Alex Golesh has agreed to a offer to become the next Arkansas head coach. We'd heard yesterday Eric Morris out of the running, obviously Oklahoma State. Womack's name is kind of faded, so it really did leave Silverfield and Golish. And I think most people wanted out of those two to go Golish. I'm not we'll get into all of this, but your reaction when you saw that Alex Golesh potentially is the name. It sounds like he will be the name.
It makes sense. It's kind of the move that it felt like they needed to go with the whole time. I think that a lot of Razorback fans were hoping for something super splashy. You wanted a James Franklin, a John Gruden, a Dabo Swinney. Like there were people who just wanted something that has a bunch of flash with it. But this feels like a really, really meaty hire. You know, a guy who has had success in the SEC as a coordinator role, who has shown the ability to turn around a program and drum up excitement behind a program is something that I think Arkansas has really needed and is going to really need going forward, is somebody that can kind of restore energy and we talk about it a lot, restore the vibes in the program. And I think that Golish is the kind of young up and comer who has the ability to kind of sell a vision for the future of Arkansas football. I think that, the potential of the players that he can bring with him is also, kind of excites me. But it's also a South Florida team that has faltered in a couple of ways here in the second half of the season that makes you a little nervous about how much of this is a flash in the pan, how much of this, his success against the top tier of the American has not necessarily been spectacular. And so that makes you a little bit nervous as it goes against higher competition. But the question for me is always going to be with Arkansas, how much is the donor class behind this and how much money and support is going to come with him? Because we've talked about it on this show before. If Hunter Yurachek's going to come out and say that Sam Pittman was not supported at a championship level, what has changed between that and now? And is Golish the guy to kind of unlock the coffers in Northwest Arkansas? I don't know. That's the question that I have with this move.
Like this is, I always do. I love the Tom Fornelli line. He goes, "I don't know. I like the hire. Will it work? Who knows, right? I mean, like
I've given up on guessing.
Yeah, and like the Tom Herman thing, like Texas is always the great example. Like if there were ever to be one that was just like all the energy and stuff was in the area of that working, that was it, right? That was one that made the most sense. And it didn't work out. Like, same thing for quarterback evaluation in the NFL. Like Trevor Lawrence was the most a quarterback we'd ever seen. And, it might still work out for him, but like it hasn't worked out at the pace that, everybody would want it to work out for him. So it can be difficult in this sport. And then obviously so much of that it's going to be investment. And look, I know big names get you the money, but big names don't coach the game in and game out. It's like big names can still get pants. Jimbo got pantsed a whole lot when he coached. And then Jimbo's the big name, right? Well, the less flashy name, Mike Elko, hired a coordinator in Colin Klein, who, really did a number on Blake Baker's defense at half number 2. And, if you've got good coaches who can identify other good coaches, you're in good shape. And look, I'm not the biggest Josh Heupel guy in the world. The offense, it is what it is. It runs up against physical teams and really does struggle at times. And typically the teams aren't very defensive. But also, this guy's rubbed shoulders not only with Josh Heupel, but with Matt Campbell, right? And Arkansas fans, hey, if you heard about a conversation between Arkansas and Matt Campbell, this might have been why. It might have been the little checking in on any interest at all, but also probably doing their homework on Alex Golesh, who was at Iowa State for a little short stint of time. I'm trying to see here, yeah. So like the late 2018, 19, so 3 years. So he's rubbed shoulders with some really good coaches. I think to be with an offensive coach like Heupel, then to be with a program builder, 5-star culture like Matt Campbell, gives you a couple different looks at like how to build a program, right? And I know John Heacock said that 3-3-5 defense, but Matt Campbell's really, his program's off of doing the most with the least, right? Just guys reaching their full potential on both sides of the ball. And so, a little bit of both of those things. Once again, he needs resources, but for a guy who's 40, he's kind of traveled in the right circles, I think you can say. The number one thing, though, I think for a school like Arkansas, Jack, is a talent eval. Like you're going to have to be better than talent eval. Than not better than everybody else, but like you're going to have guys who can not make mistakes and also reach their fullest potential at the most important positions, basically.
Well, and you have to be able to find guys and learn how to find guys and recruit guys who are maybe under the radar talents. You're not going to be competing against LSU and Alabama and Georgia from a just pure raw talent perspective. You have to be able to find guys that you can elevate from 3 stars to 4 stars. And that's part of the reason why it excites me so much to find someone who's coming up from the G5 to this level, is the idea that, that's how they have to work as well. And so obviously, like, that's always the question. It's really easy to say that. It's a lot harder to do. The other part with Arkansas is that I think that because at very least at the beginning, the expectations to win and the ability to win might not quite be there at first. You have to at least be fun. And that's something else that I think that the Golish teams is they are fun on offense. We saw it this year with Taylor Green in Arkansas.
Yeah.
You can keep guys bought in. You can keep fans bought in, at least to some level, whenever they know that they're going to see something they don't necessarily see every day.
Yeah, apparently, Jack, I just paged the entire office while I was doing the first part of the first 5 minutes. So the rest of my office got to enjoy our podcast so far.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that's really nice. So I think you're right, like the scoring points thing. It's funny. We talked with Bruce James, former All-American, the other day on our radio show, and one thing that he talked about, that Hunter Yurachek probably wanted to go defense, but eventually ends up going offense because, and this, these concepts are not just stuff that's applicable to Arkansas. Like, this is across the board. It's easier to sell tickets and also to get people believing in offense. It's much easier to sell. And also the other thing is, because there's an emphasis on offense, the defense wins championships, like whatever, but like offense puts butts in seats. And also, Nick Saban said, hey, maybe not really sure how much the defense wins championships moniker is as true. It's still it helped. I mean, you need a good defense. Like, no team without a top 30 defense wins championships. But you can have a 2019 LSU offense. There's not a lot of those, right? But you can have an offense. You need an offense that can outscore people. You need to be able to outgun people. And it's difficult as a defensive coach to hire good offensive coordinators over and over and over and over again, right? Because if you're hiring good coordinators, that's good news. The bad news, they're probably going somewhere else afterwards. So it's a bit more challenging. So it is, I think, in the modern game, a bit easier to go offense. Now, we'll see what style he runs. I think he adjusted a little bit more this year at USF just to be a bit more run heavy. That is more personnel thing, and that's good. I think it's good to be able to adjust your offense to your personnel. If it is Heupel, then this is not an offense that people here are unfamiliar with, right? I mean, Kendall Briles ran a version of the veer and shoot. Kenny Guyton, when he was interim OC, ran, they were veer and shoot. That was what they want to do. They want to run between the tackles and spread the ball out wide. Those are the two goals the offense wants to do. They want to create that box advantage, spread the field. So it's not going to be totally unfamiliar. the big question is like, can they be as explosive as they were? Not explosive, but like, can they be as good on offense as they were this year? Or can they take a little bit of a step back, but also be a better finishing team? Because once again, this is a 2-8 football team right now, 2-9 football team that has a positive point differential. So, they smoked 2 teams early on, and then they just were not able to finish games and drives and whatnot against the other teams they played. So that's a big question for me is this offense, as I start to think about what this means.
Yeah, well, that is going to be the question is, can they finish games? And I think Arkansas fans will tell you that, the last time that they won a 1-score game was against Tennessee last year. And so there is a lot of question about whether or not this Arkansas team can figure out how to win, which is something that Golish has been able to do most of the places that he's been. Like you said, it's good that he's got a variety of influence in his sphere where he's not simply I've learned one way how to do it, and if that way doesn't work, I don't have a plan B. He's been able to see it at an Iowa State. He's been able to see it at a UCF. He's been able to see it at Tennessee and then doing it himself at South Florida. And that's sort of the variety. That's something that I think that Arkansas didn't really have this year was, if they weren't going to be able to outscore teams, if they weren't going to be able to put up 90 on them, then the question was, what's the adaptation? We've seen it in the second half, whenever Arkansas goes into a second half and hasn't been able, or Bobby Petrino's offense has done well. Second half, they come out, they've averaged less than 10 points a game, I want to say, in the second half. Or it's 13, I think is the number. You want to be able to see them be able to adapt to a plan B. And I think, part of that comes from having a variety of influence in your coaching. And that's something that we see with Golish here.
So actually, let's hear from our sponsors really fast, and then we'll talk about what this means for the other coaching jobs.
Gambling problem? Conference titles, playoff hopes, everything's on the line now. A single loss in November can end it all, and no one gets you closer to the college football action than DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code NEIGHBORS. That's code NEIGHBORS to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
And then one more.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio limited time offer.
Do you think Arkansas is letting go of this information now to cover up for Hunter Yurachek's 6'7" plus the Rich Davis reference from last night?
Oh boy, that's I'm not envious of Hunter at all being put in that chair. It's an impossible job because it's an impossible thing to truly defend. Like
whether he should have taken the job given the timing is one thing, but yes, the job itself is hard.
You're not going to win with everybody, and so like I appreciate the attempt at humor, but yeah, maybe save the comedy for a different point, Hunter.
All right, so the other jobs, because Oklahoma State sounds good. So we're now really waiting on the 3 big ones that are out there are LSU, Florida, and Penn State. Well, I'll chuck Auburn in there too. Love you, Auburn. I still feel like Auburn, and John Summerall are heading for a marriage. Penn State, Terry Smith. Is that what we're gonna do? Like the guy might end up being good, but like was that the plan? Like, well, sorry, I know that wasn't the plan.
That was not the plan.
That's the response. Like you can James Franklin, and I just thought you would go with something a bit more like what guarantees that the issues they had get solved by Terry Smith?
Nothing. I think the move there is continuity because we've talked about it a lot. We like the coordinator situation at Penn State. We think that they've got a couple guys there that maybe if you can stick around and just have a different voice at the top, maybe that's enough to because it's not like there's a big gap to jump. I mean, the issue is that they made it to a semifinal but couldn't win the big one, and then you come into this year and you just lost the juice for some reason. I don't even know, like we've talked about it. I don't even know if maybe next year James Franklin couldn't have turned this thing around and been right back where they were, because it's not like there was a talent, issue. And so
it's the most talented team they had.
And so I don't love the move to fire Franklin just to promote the guy from within, because that feels like a lot of money out the window to change not a lot.
Yeah.
But I also didn't necessarily agree with the firing in the first place. So like whenever I look at it, it's like I don't think stability here is a bad move, but the question becomes, you made the move, you spent the money, which isn't as much money now.
The coach you had
is all set things, huh?
You could have been stable with the coach you had.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, so it's almost like you've shot yourself in the foot by making the move to where now you have to do something different. And I just don't know if I agree that Terry's the guy.
It's funny. Let's go Florida next. So like, I actually Florida did the right thing. Like, they really gave Billy Napier a chance, right? I mean, all this stuff about a quick trigger, they really did give him a chance. And now it's like the Canada pool is so weird. I will say this.
Didn't get that. Can you try again?
I'm losing my mind today. Kenny Dillingham, like, I know it's an SEC. If he were to take an SEC job, that's one of the ones I would take, man. It's just that energy at Florida, I feel like would be and Billy Napier was a good energy guy too, but Kenny also brings like his talent evaluation is very good. They have been really good at the receiver, at the running back, and at the quarterback spots. Like, they're getting something out of Jeff Sims that I did not think was possible. Jeff Sims has been terrible. He's been terrible. Like, he's made a turn that Peyton Thorne never did. And look, say what you want. He's like, we got 2 NFL quarterbacks in the roster. I appreciate it. Not true. But I do appreciate the sentiment from getting Dillingham. And the fact that they've been winning, with the quarterback situation that's been going on there. The guy just has got it all going on. Like, to have a year they had last year and to not have a Sonny Dykes situation, to have a response the way they have this year, it's very impressed. I'm always impressed by his teams. He's very accountable. And I think at Florida, that would play very, very well. I think you do well in a lot of places, but I feel like if you don't get Lane, that might not be the worst thing in the world. I feel like Kenny Dillingham would be my next call. And I haven't seen that at all. I haven't seen much besides Lane stuff at Florida. I think he's just playing both sides. I think it's ultimately LSU. Where do you come down on the Lane situation? But the most important part of this, Jack, is what do you think is going to happen at Florida? Because I feel like they're the loser of the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes.
Yeah, it feels like at this point, if he's going to go somewhere, it's going to be LSU, or like everyone wants to talk about, if Bama somehow comes open, if for whatever reason that's new. But it feels like it's going to be one of those two and not Florida. And so Florida is going to be left kind of looking at second options. I mean, we talked about how much of the collision course it feels like John Summerall and Auburn are on. I think John Summerall would work really well at Florida as well. I think he's the guy that could have a lot of success. The only problem is when I look at him and I say that, it feels a lot like Billy Napier did whenever he went to Florida, and that didn't work out. And so I don't know. I like your idea of Kenny Dillingham. I think that he brings a certain energy. He would be able to elevate talent. But then again, that's also kind of the thing with Dan Mullen when he came, was like, hey, here's this guy who can take talent. He's been able to do it at Mississippi State. Imagine what he could do at Florida. And it didn't work out that way. And so, this just goes all the way back to talk about what we talked about to open this up, that, I've given up on assuming what coaching search, how coaching fits work, because the ones that I thought would be home runs don't pan out. And the ones that I thought, what are they doing? Find ways to work magic. And so I think that, if you're Florida, you try to call John Summerall, because I think it makes sense. I think he's a great coach. I think that he's done it in that area. Like, he fits, but that doesn't mean it's going to be successful.
Also, shout out Bob Chesney. I think there might be a chance that he might end up being, let's exclude Lane, but out of the young coaches, he might be the best one out of the group, and UCLA might get him, which is which is going to be fun. Jack, I got to roll because I'm actually about to produce a radio show. Where can folks find you and your work and all of its variety?
Jack Allen TV on social media, and then KTV.com. We're still covering all this craziness.
Wow. So we think Alex Golesh, the Arkansas coach, it's heading that direction. Jack will have more information about all this stuff. The Lane Kiffin thing might be done. We'll see by next week. It's a pleasure talking to you. We'll talk to you next week.